We're live now. Oh, I actually don't know if we can hear
The
the
live
music
thing.
now, but welcome to another episode of Last Week in Localization, the show where we talk about the latest from the world of localization, whether that is events, news, research, or anything else that you should know if you work in this exciting industry. I have a very well-known and important and lovely guest today, Nimdzi's co-founder and industry legend, Renato Beninatto.
Thank you. I find it so creative how people find new ways to describe me. Anyway,
Yeah,
so we're talking a little bit about what's happening in the industry, but last week there wasn't much that happened. It was kind of the beginning of the year, but
yeah. Today it's more
we should be
maybe
talking about what is going in this era of the translation industry.
exactly. So I think today is more last year in localization and next year in localization, maybe also. Yeah, and I did slightly mess up our introduction, so I'm sorry for that. But who cares? We're just gonna do this now, and yeah. I figured I have you on today because, hopefully most of our viewers know, we kicked off our research just now for the Nimdzi 100, which is where we rank the 100 largest language service providers in the world. And we also do a market analysis and market sizing. And that actually started as your project many years ago.
Yeah, it's an interesting story in the sense that when I was a VP of sales of Berlitz, which was a publicly traded company, there was no information about market sizing. There was no information about the industry. So around 2005, 2006, I was a co-owner of Common Sense Advisory, and I said, when I was an executive, I didn't have information. We need to collect this information independently. And this is how this whole exercise was born. And now it's been over 16, 17 years that I've been looking at this industry, at its growth, at its trends and things that are happening. And I'm always fascinated by the new things that are happening in this space. And having lived in this industry for almost 40 years, it's exciting to be talking about it every year and always having something new to talk about.
Yes, definitely. And I mean, I have been in this industry for much, much shorter time than you. But even in my short time, I found it quite dynamic, and it's really exciting to dig in again every year. Yeah, so I think without further ado, let's just maybe get right into it and talk about some of the trends that the both of us have maybe observed in the last year and where we think the industry is heading. So, what stands out the most to you?
I think that if somebody is jumping into this industry and comparing data from the past to now, is the amount of external capital that has come into the industry. I
Yeah.
think that last year must have been in terms of investments in this space, both in the service side as in the technology side. There's a lot of money flowing into this space. I think that the message that we have been conveying over the years, that this is a growth industry, that it's impervious to crisis, that machine translation is not a threat for the industry because we really don't sell translation. We sell project management, which is the premise of the general theory of the translation company. That message has gotten across, and smart money goes where profit is, where growth is. And this has attracted, and this is proof that the theory that this is a growth industry has really registered with the investment community and has attracted a lot of capital to the space. So another interesting element, I think, that we mentioned in our analysis of the industry in 2021 for 2020 was the fact that we out major developments in machine translation. And just last week, I received a comment from a reader of the Nimdzi 100 and the analysis that we have made about it. And the comment was, you said that machine translation had plateaued, and but we see a lot of people developing new tools and developing new language pairs, and there is a big difference between Spanish and languages of lesser distinction. And why? How can you say that that machine translation had plateaued? And to be honest, I love the fact that people, first of all, at the end of 2021, are still reading the Nimdzi 100 for that year.
Yeah.
And
did that
second
from
of
2 years
all,
ago.
the comment was yes. and what surprised me in the comment is that he said, on page 62, I say, did we write more than 62 pages of the report? That was the thing that shocked me the most. But why don't you answer that question? Why do you think that machine translation has plateaued?
Well, actually, we didn't say that machine translation has plateaued or the developments in there. We actually highlighted that there's a lot more development happening, but that the benefits from machine translation have plateaued. So that there was a certain cap reached on how much like companies working in the space can get out of utilizing MT for their revenue, for their profit. That's what we said had plateaued. So not so much the development.
And we don't have on the technology. What happened is that the core technology, I mean, the neuro machine translation has gotten to a point where any improvement is just a marginal improvement.
Yeah.
You don't have the kind of and I think you said it very well, that until we go into a new form of machine translation, until we leave, so we went from rules-based to statistical to neural. When we jump to quantum or whatever name comes, or metaverse, meta machine translation, I'm going to see a big jump in improvement in the efficiency, in the way that the technology works. So that's one of the things that became clear during 2021. And I think that the idea that we discussed in 2020, when we looked at 2019, 2020 was that year of uncertainty of the pandemic, is that we believed that the industry was not going to dip, was not going to go through a recession, but that the industry was going to grow at a lower growth rate than traditionally. Instead of 7%, maybe 4 or 5%. And we actually noticed that the growth is back to the standard levels that we were expecting.
And it's early days because we're only just starting our interviews with the largest players and gathering data through the survey. But we already know from some companies that they actually had record years, and not just as a rebound from the pandemic. For some it was a rebound from the pandemic, or some had a spike because of the pandemic. But some, like especially in the last year now, where I guess the world has maybe a bit more adapted to the new situation. And new service lines maybe came about as well in 2020. People made an effort to invest in digitalization or other technology, increase their client or service portfolio. And in 2021, it seems they've really reaped some of those rewards as well.
Yes. So another trend that I think I would comment on, that I've been observing, is although we see a lot of consolidation at the top of the tree, we don't see that level of M&A happening at lower levels in the industry. So what I want to say is that even though there is consolidation, the industry continues to be very fragmented, right? And there is a lot of opportunity for small and medium-sized players still to find a spot and grow in the market and find new areas of specialization I think that I see, like I saw in the late 90s, a lot of companies shifting to life sciences. I see a lot of companies this in the last couple of years moving towards AI enablement or data annotation,
Yeah.
multilingual data preparation, and tagging and services like that. So every third company that we talk to, they have this around this or
Oh, I don't know if you're just frozen on my end, but you're briefly frozen. Let's see.
we that. Oh, unfortunately, my connectivity is not very good. I'm
It's better
calling
now
you
again.
from,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I'm calling you from Brazil today. I'm working from South America, being from to the summer in South America. So that's, yeah,
It keeps going in and out. I don't know if it's maybe my connection as well.
services. No. It's here.
Okay, let's see if it stabilizes. I actually have a follow-up question as well to the first trend you mentioned, and that was that, one I was going to highlight as well is that all this, let's say, fresh money is coming into the industry, a lot of PE money. How do you think that's going to affect the industry? Because, this is maybe not a new trend, but over the last 2 years, and especially the last year, there's been so much of that. And there's certain expectations that come with that, right? So investors bring in money to ultimately make profits. And it's great for companies to get that money, but they're supposed to do something with it, right? So how do you think that will affect the industry? Like, will it have a knock-on effect on the wider industry, like in terms of maybe hiring or, certain, I don't know, technologies? Or I know that some companies as well, they're meant to stay tech companies, but now they're added services as well as more of a push from the investors as well. Don't know, just a few examples there.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, he's in the services. And I have a sense that I froze again. But anyway, at the end of the day, the money is in the services. It's where growth happens. We, in the language industry, we see growth in three vectors. Is the volume of content that grows, the number of languages that grows, and the number and the dissemination of platforms. Or this takes off, we're going to see metaverse as a new platform, for example, or whatever that becomes, if changes name or whatever. So at the end of what language services companies do is they manage complexity, and complexity arises from those factors of different vectors of growth. Technology platforms change over time and they become obsolete. The service doesn't. So what I have noticed over the years, one of the this year's Unbabel Link 24, which is a classic example of a company that, as a technology company, was able to raise a lot of money. But the moment that they need to start delivering for data, classic
Okay.
I mean, that's all the conception, but there's black.
So you froze definitely again in between there, and I only heard certain snippets. So I don't know if the connection is strong enough to keep this up, because I want to have a good chat with you, but it's probably not possible with this connection. So maybe we have to continue this another time.
Yes, maybe we could have more connections. I
Okay, I'm gonna sign out here for the live stream, but stay on for a sec, Renato. 1 sec. Okay, we're gonna try this again shortly, in a few days or weeks. We'll see when Renato finds a better connection. So stay tuned for more insights, and I'll see you there.